Howdy, howdy. This is Blue Otter, and today we're playing Feline Forensics and the Meowseum Mystery. We'd like to thank the devs for providing me with a key. This is another game that is published by DevCats, created by Nobody Crown, and I have played the demo before. We're going to start a new game. We have our cat detective, the detective. Another long day. Street lamps are already on and I haven't been in my office yet. He's tapping his little foot. I should check my computer. I'm sure I have at least a few emails waiting by now. Although, if it's the commissioners volunteering me for more debriefs, I'll have to put my paw down. We're gonna come over here. We're gonna check our email. All right, let's see if this old litter box still works. I just need to log in. And, it won't take my password. Something here's had my whiskers twitching. This might turn into a regular investigation. I'll start tracking all my leads on this bulletin board in case I need to reference them again. So on here, we have our bulletin board. We just press left button. We have the unknown password. For some reason, my computer isn't accepting my password. Did I just forget what it was? If I changed it, I certainly would have written it down on a note and put it in my desk. So let's check the desk. Let's see. What should I look at? Well, let's look at the desk. It's possible I just wrote the password down and threw it in my desk drawer. Okay, not in the top drawer. Surely it'll be in the bottom drawer. Aha, this must be it. Wait, no, this is just a standard department business card. Following procedure requires I enter it into evidence, but unfortunately, this might be more serious than it seems. All right, so we have an update here. Unfortunately, there wasn't any password reminder on my desk. Could this be more serious? All I found on my desk was an old business card, and I'm not sure how helpful that's going to be. I guess I could give it a second glance. So anything that's highlighted in red, it does kind of give you a little hint. So especially if you need some of those little hints, that's where you get those. So here we're going to go look. We have a business card. A business card I found in my drawer, in the drawers of my office desk. It's a business card printed on quality paper, although age has weathered the once white sheen to yellow. On the card, depicted in black ink, is the department logo and a general information such as the office address and phone number. So we can look at this. We're on 9 South Vita Street. Office is meow and fax goes per. I guess that checks out. No email though. And then you turn around. And then we're going to look for specifically those rings that go around the magnifying lens. And then we're looking for an eye. Oh, of course. I knew there was something else here. Why didn't I think to flip over the business card sooner? The extension written here belongs to the department manager. Luckily, I would classify this as an emergency. I should give them a call immediately and let them know what's going on. So if we come over here, you can see that this is updated extension 1024. You could also see over here that the information has been updated on here. I am probably not going to read every single update just because it's a lot of tracking of what little things have been read and changed. And sometimes it's just adding a sentence or two, but feel free to pause the video at any time and read those. I will read them if I think that it's relevant or a major update. Let's see. What should I take a look at? We're going to look at the phone. Now that I have the department manager's extension, I can give them a call about my computer. Good evening, detective. I hope this is important because I'm in the middle of dinner with my family. Apologies, but we might have a security issue. My computer's password has inexplicably changed. I hate to break this news to you, detective, but the inexplicable is, in fact, quite explicable. If I do recall, this is the second time this week you've interrupted my wife's delicious home-cooked meal. I'm sorry. From what I could gather, you were on another milk-fueled bender. Through slurred speech, you told me you changed your own password. And this is the part where I'm so embarrassed you tell me the password, correct? I would consider, but you also informed me that you hid it somewhere. Somewhere that only a detective of your caliber would be able to find. So get on with it and ensure that not a single report on this matter is out of place tomorrow. And let me reiterate, while you're in the right mind, do not call me again unless it is a real emergency. Click. I think if I just forgot my password, this wouldn't be as humiliating. Either way, not my proudest moment, but I can make up for that even if I am technically this crime's primary suspect. Retracing my steps, following the proper timeline, and correcting any inconsistencies in the case notes will be paramount. Okay, so we do have some new leads here. I should double check my notes and make sure everything is up to date with this new information. So according to the department manager, I changed my own computer password and hid it somewhere in my office. Apparently, I'm creating my own mysteries now. So if we come over here, we have kind of a little dossier. So we have the feline forensics, we have the identification, little picture. The issue, without the current password, he can't unlock the computer in his office or check his email. So we have notes. The detective left his office late last night, and at some point after, the department network was hacked. And then we have at the end, the next day, the detective attempted to log into the office computer, but found that the password had been changed. Okay, so this one, with the pause circled in red, signifies that this is incorrect. So we're going to click on this, and we have a testimony, so you can do evidence, which all we have is a business card. So if we click on that, it'll say, no, I don't think that's right. I should probably look for a second opinion on the department's security measures. Have I talked to anyone that mentioned this before? So it'll say something to that effect. So if we go back here, we're going to come back. Testimony, we have the department manager. Ah, I see. That makes sense. The department manager did confirm that nothing was hacked. Embarrassingly, just a bit too much indulgence on my part. That being said, I've only got a rough outline from here, and they won't settle for anything less than perfection. It's time to thoroughly investigate the rest of my office and use my journal to fill in every blank necessary. So here, you've learned almost everything you need to fill in the detective's shoes. So let's put those sleuthing skills to the test. So did you know you can rotate the camera? Or if you need to run quicker, use the zoomies button. So yeah, if you want to use the zoomies, just hold the right trigger and you can run. It's a little bit faster. I wouldn't say it's like super fast, but it does work. You can also... One of my favorite things about this game is the fact that you can break the fourth wall. And so you can see all four walls. You are not just limited to the initial perspective. But towards the end, we can come over here. Is there something here to investigate? So we have these. We're going to check the bookshelf. This shelf is absolutely packed with different tomes, journals, studies, and the occasional novelization. If I hid some sort of clue in one of these books, it would take me far longer to find it than it's worth. I wouldn't put it past myself, but I don't have anything to go on yet. Honestly, it's one bookshelf. It's not that big of a deal. Even if it's not organized very well, it's one bookshelf. I have 13 bookshelves. It is a monster to try to find one particular book. That's why my bookshelves are organized. Is there something over here to investigate? So bookshelf is now grayed out, so that's saying that there's nothing new there. So we'll go to the filing cabinets. They're usually just for keeping contracts, reference documents, and various policy paperwork. I can't imagine I would have slid a note with a password in it into this mess of a drawer. Even under a strong influence of dairy, I wouldn't have done something so reckless. Okay, but we still had a third option. Is there something over here to investigate? We can find the trash can. When you need to dig up the truth, you gotta act like an alley cat. Empty milk carton. Comically clean fish bones. Used yarn ball. None of this looks very helpful. Wait a minute. There's a crumpled receipt and it looks like I've redacted most of it. Nothing about the actual purchase remains and only the store's address is left visible. Where could this lead me? So again, we're going to come over here. We can see left visible on the address. Where can I cross-reference this? I looked over the bookshelf, but I need to narrow my search. Okay, and we have X. So we've actually added more things to here. But one of the things I did remember seeing is we do have a map over here. So let's go right here. It's my old map of historical Philadelphia. I don't remember all the thumbtacks in it. They're each holding a thin shred of paper to various addresses in the city, but no one seems more important than another. That crumpled receipt did have an address on it, though. What was it again? So, South Vita Street, I believe that's ours. Let's look at that. Wait, no, that's our office address. I should double check my notes again. I'm just curious what the other ones are. What is 1804 Callow Hill Street? This address does sound familiar. Isn't it Salem's Cafe? While their food is especially delicious, I have a feeling this isn't correct. If this doesn't take too much longer, I wouldn't mind making a stop on my way home, though. Okay. Now we're going to pick the real one. Sometimes you do have to click through them because it just repeats the same thing. I don't recall what's around here, but the slip of paper does have a phone number written on it. Looks like it's time to make another call. So we're going to go back to our phone. Let's see. What should I look at? Okay, well, we have the computer. Nothing's changed. My computer is still locked. I probably shouldn't try the password again until I'm sure I know what it is. Yeah. Yeah, that checks. All right, we're going to check the phone. Let's give the number I found on the map a call. Hopefully they're still open and they can make sense of this receipt. Good evening, Bookgator on second. What can I do for you? Of course, the local bookstore. How could I forget? You forgot your password, dude. Sir, did you need help with something? Hello, yes, sorry. I do, actually. This might be an odd question, but I have a receipt, and I'm not sure what it was that I purchased. Heh, I've been expecting your call, detective. Of course you were. Care to explain why? You stumbled in disgruntled after an argument with this devious plan. I didn't ask questions, but you were warned this call was likely. Oh dear. Now, about that book. Please tell me it's not something terribly inappropriate. Huh. Not quite, no. The book's title is On the Historical Development of Cat Burglary. Okay, thank you. That'll be all. Sure you don't need anything else, detective? No, really, it's okay. Thank you. Click. As if I weren't embarrassed enough as it is. Okay, so we need to go back and visit the bookshelf. Since we know the book title, is there something over here to investigate? Bookshelf, this book is absolutely packed with different tomes, blah, blah, blah. The clerk said the book in question had something to do with cat burglary. So where is it? Dignity and Domestication by the Great Dane Austen, Les Meowseum by Vermin Hugo, Call of the Wild by Jack London. Okay, more novels than I thought, but hey, these are the classics. Oh, here's the one I'm looking for. The question now is, why would I have purchased this book specifically? All right, so we're gonna look at this. Just kind of found the book I apparently purchased. Even the store clerk seemed to be hiding something about it. So mystery to solve. X, we've just added more. And here we have, here is the receipt. We can even see the little note on it. And you can see down at the bottom where you have inspection performed, where sometimes it's interactive, such as where you're rotating stuff, and sometimes it's not. You just click on it and that's where you find out stuff. So here is the title of On the Historical Development of Cat Burglary. It's a dissertation I apparently purchased from the local bookstore and then stashed within the various other tomes of my office bookshelf. Subject matter seems fairly heavy. Deriving any clues from it may be a challenge. Was that why I chose it in this strange pursuit to out-detective myself? So a study of the impact of decline as an early cultural normality and the societal repercussions thereof and henceforth. So a little cat tail. And you can also rotate. But there is this little thing, don't open. We're looking for that eye. There we go. And we found, great job, detective. We found a key. Oh, of course. I knew there was something else here. I bought a hollow trick book. No wonder the bookstore clerk was holding back a laugh. With my cabinet key hidden inside, no less. I think we're nearing the end of this case. Good thing the trains will still be running for a little longer. Okay, so we come over. Oh, I think that's the map. I come right here. Let's see what we can find over here. So we have the cat tower and the filing cabinet. Well, let's look at the cat tower first. One might ask themselves, why would any self-respecting feline investigator keep one of these demeaning furniture pieces in their professional office? It was a gift from some old coworkers who thought they were being exceptionally humorous. Also, it keeps my claws properly managed, and sometimes it helps me think. So that may look like it's not really relevant, but I'll show you in a little bit why that was. We're gonna come back here. Now we do need to see the filing cabinet. Oh, this filing cabinet is locked. Let's hope the key I found is the right match. So keep in mind, you see that the word locked is in green. That means we have collected that word. We'll come back to that in a moment. It is fantastic. Now let's get it opened up and see what we find. There's a note right on top. A great change of pace. Or maybe I was just getting lazy. There doesn't seem to be any cipher or code either. This looks just like a normal password. I should try it and then make sure all my notes are in order. I wouldn't want to attract any more ire from the department manager than I already have. So if we look in here, we can see the hideaway key, further obscuring my paper trail, redacted the receipt, and you can just see that it's got more, it's just got little notes and odds and ends here. X, we could see, oh, here we are. We have, after returning to the office, the detective changed his computer login information before it was lost to the memory of a lactose stupor. Well, from evidence, we can see that there is a password reminder. Ah, I see. That makes sense. Of course, the reason for this entire mystery locked up tight in a lone filing cabinet. Luckily, I haven't forgotten about it twice, at least not yet. And we can also go here to this, and you can also access the key. So we have the business card, the receipt, the burglary book, the cabinet key, and the password reminder. Okay, we can access the word. Let's see. What should I look at? We're going to look at the computer. I've got the password, supposedly. Now for the moment of truth. Is it possible this has been a red herring all along? Oh, it worked. I'm logged in, and I have exactly 0 emails that require my attention. It's a relief, of course, but that department manager will have my fur if I don't get the rest of these case notes in order before I go home. So one thing I do like is that the password also matches what is on the text right there. It is 7HEC4TS meow. All right, now, if you look in the lower right, you can see that by Y is circled. That means I've collected all the word clues that I need to solve this puzzle. The official investigator's journal as provided by the Feline Forensics Private Detective Agency. Example is you're going to see different words and they're going to be underlined. Once you complete each section, you're going to complete each. Okay. Official investigator's journal as provided by the Feline Forensics Private Detective Agency. You can see in here, there are 3 different colors. So once you finish a section, if it is underlined in green, everything is good. If it is highlighted in yellow, you have 1 or 2 things that are wrong. If you have everything is underlined in red, you messed up, it's a hot mess, and you just need to go fix it. So a couple things to note. So this is unbeknownst to you're going to click to highlight to the detective. Since I've already got this copied, the detective changed so you have persons, locations, objects, and actions. Changed it is an object. I do have these as hints turned on. You can turn these off. So change the password to his computer and hid it inside the cabinet. So I've got at least 1 incorrect. So puzzle solving assistance can be enabled in the options and doesn't affect any achievements. So you can go through, and if you want to go through, you can figure out what all of these are, or you can just go in and these should, you might have to exit. Okay, so we're going to clear this out. I'm going to double check. And locked it in his cabinet. So you can go through one by one. You can check those. As long as you've got all the words, you can go through and do that. Or if you would like to spend the time and dedicate, you can there's a number of different accessibility options for this game, which is really great. It does not affect Steam achievements. In fact, you can go through and you can click them all one by one. So unbeknownst to the detective changed the password to his computer and locked it inside a cabinet. Furthermore, he hid the key to the cabinet inside the book that the detective recently purchased. Furthermore, he hid the key to the cabinet inside a book that the detective recently purchased. Aha! I knew I was onto something. While a fantastic treat, a night out at the milk bar might cause me more trouble than it's worth. Oh, why is that phone ringing? Could it be the manager already? I don't think the manager is going to call you because the manager is enjoying his dinner with his family. Always his wife and little kittens. But we are going to go ahead and answer the phone. Let's see. What should I take a look at? The ringing phone. Hello, Feline Forensics Private Detective? I'm glad to hear you're burning the midnight oil. Commissioner? To what do I owe the pleasure? Business, not pleasure. There's been an incident. Private property. They asked for you. I'm sitting in a cruiser. The officer will fill you in on the way. The case seems pretty involved, but it's still within my jurisdiction. You will go by the book, Detective. I'm sure you're aware that if you don't, your license will be on the line. Again. That seems like that's been an ongoing threat, like threatening my license, but not following through. Yeah, click. What a ray of sunshine the commissioner is these days. It's gonna be an even later night than I thought. Good thing cats have those 3 a.m. zoomies to get the energy through the day. All right, we're just gonna go pick up our hat here and head on out. Evening, officer. What are we looking at this time? Oh, detective, no need to be so formal. Although, we are headed to a pretty fancy museum, so maybe I spoke too soon. Honk. The one on the east side of town? What happened? Sounds like an attempted heist gone sideways. Nobody's been able to flee the scene, but an important exhibit has gone missing. Not sure if it's one of the thieves, another visitor, or a staff member, but they said somebody might have been shot in the process. Oh dear, let's hope they have been kept under control since. They made it seem like the scenario was contained, but you'll have to make that call yourself. I don't know much more than that, but we'll be there soon. And here we are. Told you it wouldn't take too long. Always a pleasure. Wish me luck. I have a feeling this is going to be a long night. Good luck, detective. Make sure everything will go just... Good luck, detective. I'm sure everything will go just fine. And I know you like to work alone, but if you need some help from the department, just give us a call on that payphone over there. We'll see if that's necessary. For now, it's time to get to work. All right, so we have meeting our suspects. I've arrived at the museum where this supposed murder turned heist took place earlier tonight. I should get inside and start investigating. So we have that motive. So we've got several different people that we're going to be finding stuff out on. We've got 12 clues. And we have, looks like 6 chapters. So earlier tonight, the person action in the locale with the person who surprisingly had a object. They action in the locale and eventually the person action from the locale. Amidst the chaos, someone actioned the object from the locale, led by the person. The locale staff also included the loyal person and the knowledgeable person. Suspects and witnesses included the eccentric person, the bitter person, as well as the distinguished person. They also included the anxious person, the jolly person, and the reserved person. But I am going to hold off on doing that until I have found all the words, just so I'm not spending like 20 minutes trying to sort out when I only have like half of the words anyway. It's a sign for the museum with its namesake, Kreinberg, the official logo illuminated by a few small spotlights. No one would have suspected a heist turned murder. Well, I guess it could be a murder turned heist. So that's true. It could be that, like, it was a murder and then a heist, like a crime of opportunity, or it could be a heist that then you have some conflict and your partner got attacked. So we'll find out. These are the kind of questions I'll need to answer with my expert feline sleuthing skill. So I like this game because you are encouraged to literally click on everything. The plaque reads, "Honk, the Herald Angel" by an unknown artist. A wonderful and timeless depiction of Mother Goose's agents of peace. That said, the biblically accurate sculptures are more compelling. Okay, so I am kind of gonna wander around somewhat. I'm just trying to find everything. I don't know. There might be like some of the bushes. And we're just going to, we're gonna go in. Ah, detective. Thank goodness you finally arrived. I'm the curator of this museum and the one that called the police. Thank you for coming on such short notice. For crime, there's no such thing as short notice, and a detective must always be prepared to put a stop to it. Yes, well, please work with the utmost efficiency. A catastrophe of this scale could be a disaster. If word got out that our most precious gemstone was stolen, who knows what would happen. Not only would the museum's reputation be forever marred, we could be the target of an even more horrid criminals. You're understandably concerned, but I assure you I'll sort this out. This is far from my first case. Although, if my debrief was accurate, there was also an unfortunate murder in the process. Is that right? Ah, yes, that punk. I just hate to even think about it. I suppose you should take care of that as well. But in my opinion, the sooner we get the innocent people home, the better. A rushed investigation leads to sloppy work, so I can't promise that this will be quick or easy. Regardless, I trust you will do your best, and if you keep me posted on your progress, it would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, that sounds exactly what the culprit would want me to do. Keep them appraised of my investigations. Exactly, I don't trust her. Of course, I have several things to discuss if we could. Hold on. Let me get in, actually inside. I'm like standing in the doorway. Detective, I trust the investigation. Yeah. I have several things to discuss if we could. About today's events. So I'd like to start with today's events, ask questions on that. All right, go on then. Before. Yes. What were you doing? During operating hours, I don't do much except greet visitors, and today was no exception. On days when we're particularly busy, I may mingle and let the guard stand station. But that wasn't the case today. Up until the argument began upstairs, nothing seemed out of place. The guard and I were here having an idle chat. I'm fortunate that it couldn't stay that way. Could I ask you a few more questions then? I would expect nothing less. Go on then. During. Certainly. Well, what happened? Let's see. The guard and I heard an argument beginning upstairs, but it wasn't an immediate concern to me. I didn't want him to make a scene, but it continued to heat up on its own. Then we heard the gunshots moments later. Even with the accompanied sound of broken glass, my instinct was to make sure the guide was safe. I thought she was in the sculpture gallery, but the guard found her in antiquities, stunned. He called for me, and I ran right over. And it was true, she was frozen solid, startled by the cacophonous noise. The guard was concerned, of course, but took off toward the blaring alarm. Which is true. Cops, they are there to, well, in this case, security. They need to secure the scene, and they're not necessarily triage and caring for someone. That's medical. Despite the chaos of it all, I maintained my focus on her. Eventually, I got through. And do you know the first thing she said to me, Detective? Call the police. immediately looking out for the museum. So selfless, to a fault. I went back to the foyer to do just that, but the tourists and the artists were there, begging that I release the lockdown. I didn't know who was responsible for this mess, so I brushed them off without much opposition and made the call. I see. Let's move on to another topic then. I would expect nothing less. Okay. So I have personal questions. Ask away. Who are you? As I said before, I'm the purveyor of this prestigious museum. Past that, there isn't much more to disclose. Do you have any associations outside your work here? Family, perhaps. Is this vital to solving the case, detective? Otherwise, I'd request that you inquire no further. How do I know that you're not compromised? Hello? It certainly could be, depending on how it continues to unfold. Fine, I do have family, and I'm currently separated from them over personal matters. And I can assure you they have nothing to do with the stolen gemstone or the murder unless you'd like to interrogate them unnecessarily as well. As always, I appreciate the cooperation. Let's move on. Personal questions, ask away. What do you do? I manage the museum's staff, exhibitions, publicity, funding, and, well, just about everything. Wouldn't it be easier to delegate some of that work? Well, you see, we simply don't have the extra revenue to accommodate that. While incredibly valuable to the human condition, a museum of this caliber is hardly ever profitable. Oh, my apologies if this is a sore subject. I simply don't enjoy the idea that one would look at what we do here and assume that it's all that easy. It requires hard work and sacrifice, detective. It's not a sore subject, it's a harsh reality. Of course, again, my sincerest apologies. Let's get to another question. Ask away. About the museum. Oh, all right. Let me provide a brief overview of the layout so you know what you're dealing with. Currently, we're standing in the museum's foyer, which has the only exterior doorway. Convenient, and I'm sure is against fire code. In the east wing, we have the sculpture gallery featuring contemporary works. On the west side is where we display works of natural history with geological and pre-civilization origins. The central connecting exhibit is the courtyard just to the north of us now. Further north, we have antiquities, host to several artifacts and art pieces spanning global cultures and eras. On the second floor, there is only one unique gallery, fine art, typically canvas. Of course, as you investigate, you'll notice there are balconies that look down into a few of the first floor exhibits as well. I hope that's helpful, detective, but you can always reference the brochure map you have if you get lost somehow. Very helpful, thank you. Do you mind if I ask you a couple more questions before I go? We've actually asked all their questions. So we have, let's go ahead and look at this. I should inquire from them for more specific detail, but I also need to speak with everyone else who is present. We have the murdered guest. Should begin with the actual crime scene as always. I hope it isn't too gruesome. And then we have the missing gemstone. It goes without saying, but it should probably start with investigating the actual crime scene. So yeah, we're going to look around. Now we do have this bear. Let's go down. We're going to look. Here's the curator. We do have all of her stuff. So potential motive, sell off the rare gemstones, an insurance fraud or embezzlement scheme. And we've got several different items. Prior to the incident, they were welcoming guests in the museum alongside the guard. Argument began upstairs, so we'll probably go upstairs. I'm going to talk to the guard first, though. Hey, hold it right there. Did you pay admission when you came in? Oh, I got an invite, buddy. Ha, caught you good, didn't I? Little security joke is all. Always good to meet another agent of Lady Justice Detective. What can I do for you? I'm hoping you can assist my Oh, absolutely. Anything you need at the drop of a hat. Just by answering a few questions for now. I need to be clear that even as a museum guard, you aren't exonerated here. Of course, of course. I wouldn't have it any other way. Not only am I loyal to the law, I am loyal to this museum, and wrongs against it must be righted. Let's start with a few questions if you wouldn't mind. Start with today's events. You got the green to go ahead, detective. What were you doing? As per usual, I was hanging around the foyer, having a little chat with the curator. When things are especially slow, I might take a walk around the exhibits or get some fresh air, but I was feeling a little more lazy today. Oh boy, that doesn't sound too good, does it? Don't want you thinking I neglected my duties. Thing is, nothing seemed weird. It was totally normal morning, afternoon, and evening. I understand. So none of the guests acted strangely? We get all walks of life, and I do my best not to judge one way or the other, eh? So, nah, not too much. And all things considered, this feels like poor circumstances to me, Detective. I see. Interesting. Why don't we discuss some more then? Absolutely. I'm an open book and full of pictures. Okay, so what else do we have? What happened? Oh dear, where do I begin? The curator and I heard an argument upstairs. I was ready to go diffuse the situation, but the curator was hoping it would solve itself. Never a good sign, because sometimes those arguments you need to intervene. I don't quite understand it, but in my experience, artists tend to hold strong opinions, so I trusted the curator's judgment call for a moment. But I made my way into the courtyard when it heated up. The fight was upstairs though, so I just had to keep moving though. A few moments later, a gunshot shattered glass afterward, and I didn't skip a beat. Some habits die hard, I guess. Well, I got to the antiquities and found the guide, stopped in her tracks. Maybe I should have kept moving, but I had to make sure she was okay. It's admirable at the very least. I'm sure she appreciated it. You're probably right, but I wasn't actually much help. Nothing I could say had her come to. I called for the curator since there was still the matter of whatever went down in natural history. I got there at about the same time as the podcaster, but she knew just as much as I did, and that wasn't much. The display case was already destroyed, so to save the diamond or the victim, I was too slow. Again. If there was anything left to do, it was call the police. Thankfully, the curator was already on the line, and things had mostly calmed down by then. I appreciate the thorough recollection. Let's move on to something else. Absolutely. I'm an open book and full of pictures. Additional details. Stand by for inquiry, Detective. About the alarm. Oh yeah, well, you see, the amazing thing is that it's really smart. It can tell who's who and do what it's got to do. Real accurate, too. Certainly, there's some downside to it, no? Nail on the head, Detective. When it was installed, they told us it was a little slow. It doesn't make mistakes because for a computer, it takes its time. Although, for a person like you or me, that's still pretty dang fast. It just has to, I don't know, double check, I guess? It has a way of being selective, only locking down what's necessary and trying to minimize panic in a chaotic situation. Come to think of it, the actual sound of the alarm was supposed to be one of the more severe stages of lockdown. The old guy who used to work on it could tell you more, but we've never seen it in action before today. Maybe try asking the curator. I think I will, but until then I have a few other questions to discuss. Absolutely. I'm an open book and full of pictures. Personal questions. 10-4, good buddy. Who are you? Not much to brag about in that department, Detective. Well, what do you do in your free time? I like to keep up with various TV shows and movies, but don't we all? That's not very interesting. I read a whole bunch too. Talk about boring. It's not boring. He laughs. I don't think that's boring. Honestly, I wish I had more time for that kind of thing. I used to say the same thing, believe it or not. But if you don't make time to enjoy things, there won't be much of you left. Just a couple whiskers and a suit. I mean, let's stay on topic. Do you have any family, friends? A couple buddies from back in the day, but started to feel like we were worlds apart, you know? A wife at home, but no kids. She's some great friends, longtime friends, and they call me friend. I'm all right with that. I understand. Let's continue on, yes? Absolutely. Yeah, I'm an open book. Okay, personal questions. What do you do? I keep the peace within these marble walls. A much more manageable scale that I'm sure you deal with, Detective. On the regular, sure, but for tonight, we had that in common. Huh, you got that right. As far as my day-to-day is concerned, we don't really get much commotion around here. Was there a time when disturbances were more typical? No, I guess not, but we had more people around overall, you see? Hey, if all else fails, maybe this whole debacle will get the museum some attention again. That'd be really something, huh? Motive. I suppose anything's possible. Why don't we discuss something else? Absolutely. I think we're... No, we've still got one more question. Yeah, what did you do before? I worked as a policeman for a while, but not as long as expected at the time. You certainly don't look like you've reached retirement age. Huh. Young for retirement, sure, but not that young. Most folks stay in the field for a long time. It wasn't for me, though. I grew up with police dramas and was big enough to deal with bullies, but the concept of bullies is a bit more difficult when you're an adult. Nail on the head, detective. Don't get me wrong. There were times when it was all very clear, just not always. Even instances that was clear in the beginning, even instances that were clear in the beginning became murky down the road, or in retrospect. Eventually, parting ways from the force seemed like the best decision. I came to that conclusion sometime later. By that, you mean it wasn't entirely your choice? Highly encouraged choice, perhaps. A tale that isn't too uncommon, I think. Could we discuss something else? Absolutely. We are done. Okay. Don't have anything else to discuss with her. I also like that you can come in here and you can say a plaque reads, semi-colored vase by Ai Weiwei. Do you think he dipped the vase in paint or just drizzled it on top? You know, I should have eaten before arriving in the scene. Okay, we're gonna go up top because that's where they said that the fight started. And I actually see some red spots. We don't really see where the color goes. Okay, so here, let's look at this. Another shocking aspect to the case unfolding in front of us. This is where the blood trail begins, considering the impact on the wall. If this is where the two guests fought, that impact is a likely result. And with enough force that would explain the crooked painting, whatever happened is clear the conflict continued onward, but I'll continue investigating to learn more. The plaque reads, The Hatching of Venus by Sandro Bonaboselli. The legend says that she was born from a giant scallop shell, but for avian folk, I suppose that's not terribly far off from the typical egg. Right, yeah, so that looks like that's the beginning of... We have some color with a crystal. And I believe she also said something about this is the natural history. We have a brochure we can select just by hitting the start button. So you can see we're on the upper floor. It comes out over here. This is clearly important in our case, so what should I investigate? Well, let's look at the crime scene. The blood trail leads here over the edge of the balcony. It's dashed across the exhibit podium as well. The podium looks like it's been pushed askew as well, and the art piece is missing. Stanchions are unlatched, presumably by force considering the perilous angle. The victim is visible, lying on the floor below. They were likely disoriented and stumbled backward to their demise. That's all there is to find from here, for now at least. Okay, so if we look over the edge, we can actually see... Yep, we have a deceased body down there. While we're here, let's just go ahead and look at the placard. This is clearly important to our case, so we should investigate the exhibit placard. Miniature Moai statue circa 1300. Another victim in this odd accumulation of crimes, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll be back to look at the rest of this. So we have cause for alarm. I guess the museum did recall hearing alarm, but I should continue to learn more. Missing gemstone. Start with investigating the crime scene. We have the murdered guest. Begin with the actual crime scene. Okay. So I was following the blood trail. But we need to go downstairs is what we need to do. So we're gonna go... We'll go back and look at, get a chance to look at all the pictures. All right, this definitely seems like the epicenter of the case. Looks like the victim there lying on their back just south of the destroyed display case that stands in the exact middle of the room. Several dotted blood splatters across the floor along the few pieces of what appears to be stone debris. Other artwork looks to be unaffected and a witness of the scene. No shortage of places to start, so let's get to it. All right, so first things first, we're going to inspect the body. This has always been my least favorite part of the job. Victim present, male, likely mid-20s in age, 4 facial piercings, and wearing a leather jacket. Initial signs show 2 impact wounds on the back of the head, all things considered minimal blood loss. And, nothing on his person. No wallet, keys, not even an ID. Poor guy. I'll figure out what happened here, don't worry. Yeah, and if you click on it again, it'll be like, this has always been my least favorite part of the job. I'd rather not redo my examination if I can help it. As I reflected in my notes, the victim presented, and it goes over what I literally just read. But you can also look on here, and doesn't seem like the victim sustained any obvious major injuries, and interestingly had no belongings on their person. Okay, so let's look here. And this is the pedestal where the stolen gemstone was once displayed. What should I investigate here? Let's look at the broken case. Seems like a classic smash and grab. There are stones skewed across the floor, so it's possible the thief used one of them to break the glass case. I'll put the statue chunk in evidence just in case I learn anything from looking it over. It doesn't seem like there's any other incriminating details here. Never that easy anymore, is it? Let's also look at the exhibit placard. Optimus Diamond circa 1700. Where could you be hiding, precious little stone? Someone's got it in their pocket. So we have the missing gemstone. So a way I could access the security systems data, maybe not, but it's worth looking into. Seems that they took destructive measures, or did they? State of the art, security. Here we have, we also have the bear. So creates an unsolvable mystery and a perfect crime to promote the museum. Possible suspect? Could be. We've also got this, a chunk of museum that was once part of a museum exhibit before being destroyed. The fragment of art piece carved from stone and depicting the facial structure of an ancient species is believed the largest versions were used as symbolic and ritualistic monuments despite their durability. There are not many still in existence, especially of this size, and now unfortunately there's one less. So yeah, if we look at it, we're going to look around. There's something that's right there. Oh, of course. I knew there was something else here. While it may have broken further in the fall, it was certainly destroyed prior. Assuming at least this is the flattened tip of some ammunition. I wonder where the casing is hidden. Finding that could help me track down the murder weapon. Okay, so yeah, so we've got some blood splattered right there. And we do need to meet all the suspects. And there's a potential suspect right over there. Which we have here. Flattened tip of a fired bullet. And here is our thing. We do have words. It'll alert every time we have new words that get added. And we will come back, talk to this person in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Have an utterly fantastic day and see you next time.